Hello again, my name is Eric and today I'll be commentating over the Shy Mermaid build. So I finally did it, guys. I finally built a small map. I forgot how much the time said I completed it in. I wasn't paying attention, but I know that it was not 17 hours. So that's good. I did it. Something small. As you probably mentioned, or as I mentioned from the last video, that, you know, these maps are made for this series. So, like, yeah, that's not going to, this map in particular is going to be short visited. So I needed something small. But I think I still made it pretty nice, though. Yeah, I think it's still pretty nice because I wasn't sure how well that, what is it, fish tank was going to turn out, but the fish tank turned out pretty good. I was really pleased with that. But this one didn't really take me a lot of time as far as figuring out what kind of textures I wanted the walls to be, because that was kind of a tough one for the last map. And I wasn't debating if I was just going to go find a new texture. This is a texture I haven't used very often anyway, especially for like walls. Interior, I think the last time I used this much was on the airship, or the first airship I made. I didn't really give it a name, but there's no time lapse for that video, or time lapse for that build rather. But yeah, this one I was just going for a really simple bar. I don't know if you noticed, I started making my bars in D&D especially more fleshed out with more modern day looking stuff, I guess. For instance, all the stuff, I guess, in front of the bartender's like legs, that's kind of more modern day-esque, but I needed something that just reads that the bar has stuff and it's stocked with stuff and it doesn't look too bland. I never like how bland it looks whenever it's just a solid color in front of the bartender. There's like so much shit behind him. So there's no far stretch of the imagination to just assume that there's just things down there. It's not necessarily whether or not they're time period appropriate. Just know that there are things. But yeah, this build was really short. I didn't get interrupted too many times from outside things as well. I think I may have completed this one in like 2 days. Mainly because I started it like really late at night on the first day, and I just wanted to get the ideas out there as far as how I wanted it. And it follows the same structure, similar enough to the first design when I initially just kind of shat it out probably years ago, and I was going to use it. This is definitely a lot bigger, and it was supposed to be designed around like different corners are where different people who are like looking to hire people for specific jobs kind of just sit and wait, and it's like those tables are designated for, you know, job seeking peoples and whatnot. But I stayed away from that just because I think initially I was like, yeah, it's a box. Just make it a simple like square, and I'll use the corners for like the important tables. But this is what I was talking about. See how I just put, and like I said, the colorful things look nondescript enough to where it could just be kind of whatever. And then I started putting like the wardrobe down there, because I know that one was kind of falling out of use, because I have new wardrobes and I have to use the same one over and over again. So now I'm starting to use the old wardrobe for other things, making it smaller and whatnot. And then, okay, so that's something that I figured out that was like new to building, which is don't set objects on the floor and let them kind of stand up on their own and then and then lock it and then build with it. What you should do is and my lift height is set to, I think, the lowest possible lift height possible. Like, you know, it's straight up just the lowest. So it barely looks like I'm even lifting anything off the table when I'm moving it around. But yeah, so just what I find works best to get like a perfectly straight object when you're ready to build with it is just lift it up with lowest lift height. That way it's not going crazy and too high. And then lock it midair and then manipulate it. I tend not to run into any issues as far as like, you may have saw it briefly when I was building the bar just now where I set something into the bar. It was a bookcase. I set the bookcases into the bar, but it didn't look like they were actually like flush when I was sliding it in. And that was because I think I let it sit on the table first, and it's really hard to tell. But if you look close enough and you drop something, even from its lowest lift height, if you drop like, for instance, like the walls or whatever, because mainly that's what I used to do a lot. You drop it, it will wobble a teeny weeny bit. It will wobble. Sometimes you get lucky and it doesn't, but I'd say a lot of the time it will hit it and the physics will just make it wobble a teeny bit. And yeah. I know sometimes I notice that I think it's from like my old textures. I guess my old objects is that maybe, I'm not sure, but like maybe the sticker when it was placed or whatever it's called, the decal was placed on top of the object. And that might be what's kind of skewed. But I don't think so. Because I don't really notice it that much. Especially like when like I said, lift it up and just lock it midair before building. But anyway, I like the way this bar turned out. The actual like little bar. I'm starting to put more sinks in back there. So we're getting closer to a toilet. More you'll start seeing more and more sinks, and then eventually I'll just say fuck it and I'll start building toilets or bathrooms in goddamn D&D maps. But don't worry, you'll still know the difference because a lot of my Shadowrun, I haven't built a Shadowrun map in a bit, but I have a lot of assets that have not been seen yet, but they are made and in the game that would make Shadowrun maps look even more Shadowrun. Like I have control panels and keypads and fucking server hubs and shit and all this cool stuff. You probably saw a little bit in the one of the other fast food ones I had done recently. I did a lot of office stuff, so I made like a calendar. This is like 20XX, and what else did I do? I made like a fucking printer, filing cabinets, like a bunch of stuff because my Shadowrun offices were getting kind of sparse, and I've decided to just take the time to just make a bunch of office assets for Shadowrun. No, I haven't done anything for D&D yet, but we'll get there. I don't know, storage rooms, I think they're still fine. It's a storage room. What more did you want? Unless you want to put something very specific in there, but I think with this one I could have put maybe some barrels because it's a bar, but whatever. You put your own barrels. I often forget about the barrels. I'm just like, oh, boxes look good. So this thing, right? It kind of reminds you of a notice board, but also like it could be where you hang tools. And like you see in garages, like a good example that comes to mind is Gran Torino in Clint Eastwood's garage, where he has all of his tools hanging on the wall, you know? That's kind of what that brown, I forget what I think it's a Go board, kind of reminds me of when I put it on a wall. So that had me thinking, why don't I just make a tool rack or whatever, like just in Photoshop and put it in. Which probably wouldn't be too hard. You know what I could probably do? I could probably just find an image of what I'm thinking of and just put that in. I'm pretty sure I've actually come across some of those images early on when I found like all those royalty free or whatever the fuck websites where the images are free and whatnot. That's how I source a lot of my textures. I think so far my favorite is like Unsplash. I think is what it's called. Unsplash. That one's pretty good. But that doesn't have a lot of like PNG vector images. I forgot what the name of the other one is that has like a lot of those really, really good ones. Don't remember. Fuck at the table. I think it was like the first bar I made or tavern I made It actually just has like a proper tavern vibes, I guess, because I just try to fill it with as many tables and seats as possible. So you can kind of get that crowded tavern vibe. And I do apologize again if you hear the water bottle. I'm still having to drink water constantly when I'm talking. Whatever. The fish tank. I got really lucky in finding that image, right? I must say, it took me. I may have been too tired when I found it initially, but like when I woke up the next day, I knew I could figure out a way to make it work. Just didn't know how to initially, but I did figure it out. I just put a decal on a small block, and then made the block invisible, and then duplicated it 3 times. Made the 4 sides of a cube, put them together, put a little, I think it's upside down domino on top, right? That turned out phenomenal. And then I put a domino inside as well to be the bottom of the fish tank. But I don't think it could have turned out any better, because initially I was just going to do a flat image of a fish tank. So it would have been like, it would not have been see-through. But the fish tank I have actually is see-through, which I think is the coolest fucking thing ever. I can't wait to just use that everywhere now. I debated making other fish tanks, and I might in the future, but that one is just so perfect and so cool because it's fucking see-through. So if anything, I might just get an image of another fish tank and put it inside the fish tank, maybe. Like if I put it up against a wall and there's no real purpose of seeing through it because you would just see the back of a wall, I could put something cool in there. I don't know why I thought about it just now, but I could have put miniature treasure chests in there. But I could have put a little mini, like an image of a sunken ship too. Next time. But it's a really cool way. That one, this type of fish tank that I made, or aquarium, it leaves itself open to be decorated like mad. You can decorate the inside any kind of way you want. I was even thinking about putting fish in there, right? And having them spin, or possibly like sway or something. I've been starting to kind of mess around with the other tools, like the spring tool, or the I don't know. I think the hinge tool is the best one still so far that makes stuff spin. I could just change the axis on which it spins, because I think with any of the other ones, I don't think they come with motors where you can just force them to just keep kind of doing something very slowly. I think they only kind of react to things. So if something bumps it, it will spring back or whatever. Because I was initially trying to make the hanging mermaid sign. I was trying to make that sway. Just do like a gentle swaying motion, But I couldn't figure it out. I think I came close, but then I gave up because I was like, that was the same day I put the map out, and I was like, nah, it's too much extra bullshit for something that's probably not going to work out right now anyway. So if I figure it out in the future and actually give a fuck enough, then I'll come back to it. But yeah. And if you're wondering why I put text under the table and not just name the block, don't delete, it's because when you put your mouse through the table, the name pops up. So while you're using the map, you'll randomly just see a fucking text pop up, and it'll say, what? Don't delete, spinning object, whatever. No, what the fuck? So I had to put the text down there separately. Also, check this out, right? The railings. I made the railings thinner so you can stand. It's me testing how close you can be to it. Look, yeah. Excuse me. So I made them thinner and I saved them so I can just so now I can put in thinner railings. I think the trick is to make them thin and retain their shape is to convert them, like right click on them and click like properties or the top one. I think it's like custom. And then convert it to a standing up object, or make it stand up all the time when you lift it up. And then you could squish the sides without it wanting to just jump to a big fat shape. It'll retain it. I'm pretty sure that's what I did to fix that problem. So now I can do that. I believe that's also how I figured out how to make textured like stairs or whatever, or anything for that matter, is that you can shape any object or token by just converting it to like the stand-up form. I don't remember if you could actually convert it back once you shape it and it will retain or not. I feel like maybe. I haven't messed a lot with it yet, but I'm like at the tip of the iceberg as far as discovering all that. I was thinking today though, I just started watching because it just came out on Netflix, Arcane, League of Legends, the Arcane show on Netflix. And I saw there was like a circular window, and I was like, oh, I don't have circular windows. I should make circular windows. Okay. Next map, I'll try to work that in maybe, or at least if not work it in, just make it and have it at the ready. But yeah, why did I not think of that? I have two different types of windows. I have like the rectangular window and I have the, whatever that is, window. I don't know the names of windows, but yeah. Yeah, I'm also starting to use the whole covered patio look a lot more, you can probably tell. It's probably the second time I've done it. I would have done it before, but I just wasn't really confident in it. But no, it works out really well. Like, I think it reads perfectly. So, and of course, I couldn't help myself but put like a little couch area, because too many tables would just be fucking boring as shit. So you got to put in a cool couch corner hangout. You have to. But this is also, whoops, I actually slapped my desk. But this is also the first time I started doing like the hanging signs for businesses. I don't know if I'll do it to every business, but like, it's got the Shy Mermaid on the wooden chain hanging sign. I thought that was a nice touch, because I just felt like this map was so small that I needed to do something new, something extra. I don't know if that trend will stick, but I feel like if I do anything like a new map, more prone to just make it at least one new object or texture, so that way it offers something unique and new, and it's not just me using what assets I already have. That's not to say that I can't, like, nothing to be ashamed of, because the assets I have I should use, right? But I don't know, it's a personal thing. I'm like, yeah, I should add a new asset. Why not? Just spice it up. Thankfully, it didn't take me too long. I wasn't sure if I was going to find like a wooden background shape for the hanging sign, but first search I did on those websites, man, it popped up. It gave me like 4 different options. Like, oh, it's perfect. But yeah. Oh, you know what? Earlier today I was thinking, oh, wait, no, check this out, right? So those buildings back there, those preset like generic buildings, those are actually made like a long, that's why they disappeared, because they were made oh, look, there's the new bulletin board. Anyway, those buildings are made a long time ago for some other area that's kind of coming up in the campaign. But it was, I don't know, I don't remember exactly what. Anyway, but I knew I had them, so I just jumped to the other map, changed their color, and then put them in. So that's, granted though, the windows were like decals. So at times I was afraid, because sometimes decals kind of get really wonky when you load them in, or like stretch the shape. I don't know, it's weird. But anyway, I did take some time, which is why asset making time was so long, was because putting in all the individual windows as shapes, or no, what are like tokens or whatever, did take a lot of time, but it was worth it, because make them once and then you're set. And then you could even customize them too. Just unlink them, and then you could shift around the windows or the doors on the buildings, and then just re-link them or attach them. It's pretty easy to work with, I would say. It gave me no troubles. Interesting, right? Check it out. See how I have the red blocks attached to the things before I need to like actually see how it's all fucked up there and it's not lining up? It's because I had the red block attached long before I actually needed to reach under to just adjust it slightly. And that's because that is just a feature of using the attach tool. Once you start stretching an object too far, it never really had its original shape to begin with, but it becomes a lot more apparent when you stretch it a lot. So what I should have did was just make the ground seem flush normally and only try and tweak it with a red block attachment trick after the fact. Because it gave me really fucked up skewed edges early on. So that's something I learned. You can't rely on them from the get-go. They're mainly only to help with minor adjustments. But I must say, I'm so glad this game has a feature where if you put something that has grid projection on top of a grid line, it makes it like a dark solid shape. See how the buildings are kind of have lines running down the sides? But if I line it up just right on all sides, it takes away all those nasty fucking like vertical pinstripe lines. Makes it just a solid flush darker color. I think that's a really, really cool feature. I don't think it was ever intended to be the case in like the game, whatever, but it worked out perfectly. So it doesn't look absolutely disgusting when you're looking at the buildings from the side, because like, see how I'm making them all like hit the shadow or hit the grid mark. So it just casts an entire solid color over the sides of the buildings, and boom, super short building, super short build. But a lot of the pieces took a lot of time and they were made a long time ago. So that time making assets was initially just for this map. But if you think about it, it was probably a lot more time making assets in the past if you want to add that to this. But I didn't, because I wouldn't feel that'd be fair. These assets are just calculated for this build. So yeah. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed. Leave a comment if you want to see something built. I won't know if I can get to it, but I'm very curious what other people want to see built. Anyway, I've been Eric. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.